It is hump day, and we have a special guest on the podcast. You guys, Marcus is here.
Can you say hi?
No, are you shy?
I told him he had to be quiet if he was going to sit down here with us, but
Carson cannot be quiet.
yeah,
It is impossible. He came into my meeting yesterday wearing a Superman cape and his Superman mask that my mom DIY'd. So my mom is like, last night when I made Carson a McDonald's Happy Meal, and so I didn't want him getting McDonald's, and so I made him one with like a paper bag. I was like, this is my mom and me. My mom loves arts and crafts. She was a middle school teacher. She's like through and through drama, music, and so she made my sister's daughter and my sister-in-law's son are all four within the same 2 months. So we did like a big birthday party with all the kids, and they each had a T-shirt that had 4 ironed onto it. And the puffy paint, remember the puffy paint? Yep. That outlined the 4. And then they each had a cape that had BAM, like the big BAM on the back. And she cut out felt and made masks for each of them. So he put that on and came into one of my meetings yesterday because he was homesick. I was like, it's fine. This is fine.
Yeah, it's all good. That's okay. Thankfully, our clients understand. It's very rare that the kids are ever with us, when we're working. So Marcus has asked me to be a chicken nugget for Halloween. He asked me 3 or 4 times. So thank God I found a 4T on clearance at Target, because even Etsy didn't have anything that was cute. So yeah, we got it. And so we're going to be a chicken nugget for Halloween. So
Carson, I think, wants to be Loki, which is Thor's evil brother.
Oh, great.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. There is a costume, but he also the other day told me that he thinks he maybe want to be Thor now. So I'm not ordering anything or committing to anything yet because I think that he's being very indecisive.
Well, and he may change his mind, and then that equals meltdown after meltdown, and then 2 costumes just to chill things out. So, all right. So we are talking today about why you should consider working with a practitioner or hiring a coach. And so we can speak on behalf of our experience here, as well as our experience in practice, with some of our clients. And I will also say that I just think that, I know when I look back over the course of my life, I've said this before, the best investments that I've ever made have been the ones to have people help guide me and hold me accountable, and so I think there's a lot of value here. We've experienced it ourselves, and I know that there are great coaches out there and great practitioners out there. And I also understand on the flip side that maybe there's a lot of people who are scarred because they've had bad experiences, right? I've had bad experiences myself. What is the term? Hire, slow, fire fast. Yeah.
Hire, slow, fire fast.
Hire, slow, fire fast. I've definitely hired fast and fired fast in that situation for myself, but I've also hired slow and fired fast as well. And so you just don't always know. But what I think is important for you guys to understand here as we kind of dive into this is when you're trying to DIY something yourself, let's say you're trying to use the doctor, Google, it's very confusing because there's so much information out there. And while on one hand, it's great because the information is abundant and you can learn a lot, the other hand is that it's very confusing. And I distinctly remember trying to DIY things. And I'll just give you guys a real life experience with going to the gym. Back in high school, I would randomly walk around and do the machines, and I would look at the picture on the machine and just hope to God that I was actually kind of doing it right and wasn't going to look like a total idiot. But I had no idea what I was doing. I was kind of wandering around aimlessly. And then when I didn't know what to do, I'd go walk on the treadmill or do the elliptical or get on the bike just to kind of pass time until I could maybe look up some things on YouTube that I should go, try next. The point here is, it was great that I was moving my body, but I had no experience. I had no strategy. And maybe you've experienced this in terms of you're doing a DIY home project, right? You waste a lot of time and energy trying to figure it out on your own. And while you might save some money, like I saved some money not hiring a professional or, personal trainer, a professional for a little while, I also didn't really make any progress. And so once I got to college, when I was at ISU, I got a credit card and I spent $1,000 at Gold's Gym on a trainer, and it was the best investment, honestly. Renee and Kate were 2 of the most influential people in my life at that point in time. Things started going a lot better. I lost a lot of weight. I felt really good. I learned how to lift, sparked my interest for, group fitness and loving all of that. Fortunately, I didn't carry that with me when I got to the corporate world, but that's one thing that like I would go back and I would do it over again because they were able to teach me, one, how to do this without risking injury, two, push me and challenge me in ways that I wasn't pushing and challenging, myself on my own. And they gave me that plan and they gave me a strategy. And so I just think it's so important for you guys to think about that when it comes to your health. Maybe DIYing isn't the best route.
Yeah, absolutely. Like there's a reason that personal trainers are expensive, that practitioners are expensive, that coaches can be expensive because they have taken the time to learn the mistakes, to learn the protocols, to learn the ins and outs of all of this so that they save you time. And that's the biggest thing that I think a lot of people struggle with like exercise or with nutritional like guidance and stuff like that. Like, well, I'll just figure out how to eat on my own. I'll just go running. I'll just, whatever it might be, because you think it's low barrier to entry, right? Like I can exercise by myself, but you don't realize how honestly, like exercising is a science. That is why there is exercise science as a major you can take in college. And a lot of people are exercise scientists. Like programming is a artwork. I know people that are really good programmers and they had a gift. And it was like they knew how to be effective. They knew how to give minimum dose and get the most out of it. And there's, again, people spend a lot of time and a lot of money to get the expertise in their areas. That is why we're willing to pay a plumber however much money to come and look at our shit for 10 minutes and be like, okay, this is what it is. It'll be $500 because we don't know what we're looking at. But for some reason, exercise and nutrition is different to people. They think because I eat, I should know how to eat, or because I go running, I should know how to do this myself. And so they aren't willing to invest it. And that is where people miss. That is where I think a lot of people waste time, they waste effort, they let things get way worse than they should get because they simply think they can do it on their own. And it's such a hard other side to be on where we are as practitioners because you see it all the time. People are like, they'll spend the money on a vacation. They'll spend the money, where are your priorities? All I'm saying. But if you're ready to make serious progress in your fitness and nutrition, a coach is the best way to do it. A coach, a practitioner, someone that is very experienced and has the knowledge to help create a plan and kind of like a fast track for something that could potentially take you years, if ever, they might be able to accomplish in 6 to 12 months. And I would say for me, like my time's pretty valuable. I would like to say that I'm going to pick, let's not have this take 5 years. Let's have this take a year and maybe it'll mean me investing a little bit of money. So.
Yeah. And I think too, we have to take a step back. And the point number 2 here is it really free? Like when you're trying to DIY, like yes, running is free. Absolutely. Changing your diet and maybe Googling the keto diet or the FODMAP diet or cutting out gluten or whatever it is that you're trying to do, counting your calories and macros, with an app or something, which we can talk about that as well. Maybe it's free financially, but there's 2 pieces to this. Is it really free? Because when you're down the line 6 to 12 months or maybe 2 or 3 years and you're not getting the results that you want, or maybe symptoms have started to pop up, are you going to spend the hours that it takes to go through certifications, to study things, to look, at the body the way that a practitioner would, or to look at your form and technique and give you critical cues to help you actually get over that deadlift, PR hump that you're currently stuck in? No, like that expert has gone to school and done this for years and hours. You as an accountant, let's say if you're an accountant, right? You're a professional. Do you have time to do this? Probably you don't. And you also know that your time is valuable and it's better spent in your field where you're an expert. So let the experts do what the experts do, and you do the expertise that you have, right? Because I know for me, I'm not going to try to figure out, I actually did love accounting in college, but I'm not going to try to figure out my taxes on my own. It's not going to go very well. I can tell you from personal experience. And so I'm going to hire a professional. Yeah, it might be $500 a month or $350 a month. The professional gives me ease of mind. It gives me time back to spend doing the things that I love doing and working in my field of expertise while she does her thing. And then she just tells me, hey, I need to sign here. This is what you're getting back, or this is what you owe. Okay. And so the second piece of this too is, and this is actually a great analogy for the taxes, would you really assess yourself objectively the way that an expert would or an outsider would? I don't think that I would.
I'm giving myself the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
I'm justifying things. Like there ain't no chance that I'm going to be yes, to an extent, I can be my own toughest critic, but like I will not do things that are hard unless someone that I trust and that I know has more insight than I do is telling me to do those things.
Yeah, like the coach that you have right now, right? You've
Absolutely.
gotten stronger than ever.
Oh my gosh, yes. And like my coach is in constant communication with me. They keep me accountable and they take the thinking out of it. I will pay so much money for someone to take the thinking out of things for me. Like I only have so much thinking that I can do in a day. I have my children who take a lot of energy. I love them so much. They're amazing. But like I'm in a phase, right? I'm in a phase where they take a lot of my energy. I'm in that toddler and 1-year-old phase. And then I try to be a good wife. I want to be present for my clients. I want to take care of myself. The last thing I want to do is go and write a workout for myself and put the time and energy because I know how to do it. I don't want to do it. And so I will pay that person money to do that for me. And then I'm more likely to work out because I feel like I'm working towards something. Mm-hmm. That is the biggest thing is like when I was just working out to work out and following, different apps and stuff like that, I didn't really have a fire to do it. Yeah. But now I get my programming and I'm like, oh, that was my PR 3 months ago. I'm going to try and beat that today. Yeah. And I've gotten so much stronger than I think I would have ever gotten on my own.
Yeah. And I definitely think there's different seasons, right?
For
like
sure.
When we were doing 75 Hard, I felt good about what I was doing, with the app that I have. Now I don't. I'm like burnt out. We were talking about it this morning. I'm like, I want to get back into a gym and a community. Maybe it's export, maybe it's CrossFit, maybe my husband's going to do my programming. I haven't totally solidified the plan yet. But what I know is that I need something new. And I think it's okay to feel that way because you just want to have that spark, that interest. It's like why when I got bored previously, it was like, okay, let's do a powerlifting meet. Let's have that carrot or something to train for, right? But, one of the other things here too is, would you assess yourself objectively? When you have an outsider looking in and asking you questions that you wouldn't ask yourself, there's a level of awareness that is being created that is really eye-opening. We have so many clients that start with us, and after the first 7 days of kind of our data collection period and our first call, and then we're getting on our second call, they're like, oh my gosh, I did not realize, how much sugar I consumed or how many meals I skip, how little protein I eat, how little water I drink, how poorly I feel like at certain times of the day. They're bringing so much awareness here. And so I think that's really important too, because the ultimate goal for any coach or practitioner who is a good, at what they do, I would say, whatever their expertise is to set you up for long-term success. It's not about success just when you're working with that person. Like I'm sure if Becca quit with Tyler, she would have a clear path forward of some things that she could continue to work on. Our clients do as well, or they have the education and the knowledge to take with them. And it's not just about the time that you're working, with them. It's really about the things that you take away, how they can educate you. Like I was chatting with a client who's starting with us later this week. And I was like, well, so you're dealing with a lot of these things that you got back on the test hormonally. Did anybody ever educate you and teach you how food impacts estrogen, for example, in this situation, or candida? And she was like, no, not really. They just gave me protocols. And I'm like, okay, so that's what we aim to do is I want to give you the protocols, but I also want to give you the education because education is powerful, right? That knowledge that you gain is so powerful. And so, again, I think this is one thing, like if you're looking at the long-term picture where you want to be, having somebody to kind of walk you through these things, let's say it's 6 months, let's say it's a year and a half, 2 years, however long that might be, is something that you're going to take with you for the rest of your life.
Mm-hmm. All right. So number 3, this is a big one that I think a lot of people get frustrated with and they don't realize why. You're doing pieces of the puzzle, but you're not completing the puzzle, and it's just like the SIBO. Did you just talk about this?
No.
Okay. Cause I know you were talking about the candida and this talks about the candida. Sorry. Edit. This talks about like the diet protocol and the candida test. So,
you can just, okay. Yeah, I did. But yeah,
I'll cover it in a different way.
Yeah.
Okay. So number 3, and this is something that I think a lot of people do and they don't realize they're doing it and they get frustrated because of it. So you're doing pieces of the puzzle, but you're not doing the entire puzzle. So a lot of times people will come to us and are like, I already had gut testing. I already had whatever. And so I did an elemental heal diet for my SIBO and did fasting and took this, bacterial antimicrobial plan and whatever. And then they stop there when there might be other things going on. You guys, the body is such a large system And it works so intricately together that usually it's not just one thing. And so when people do a gut protocol or they do, a certain type of healing approach, a detox, remove gluten, like whatever it might be, they might feel a little bit better, but then it doesn't get completely better. And then maybe symptoms get worse again. So you have to understand that there's layers, like you have to peel back the onion of what could be going on. For example, I'll use myself for a personal example. I got testing done. I have a good amount of gut stuff going on. My liver is the main problem, I think, and how burdened the liver is right now because of the stress that I've been under probably from the past couple of years. But in general, I can't address the liver yet. I need to address the gut first. And so that you have to go in the proper order. And I think a lot of people address one piece and maybe they feel worse because they did the wrong piece first, or they only did one part of the puzzle. And so a lot of people get frustrated because they're like, I've tried everything, but they haven't tried everything cohesively at the right moments in the right order. And so they're left still feeling kind of like helpless essentially. And so this is another thing that I think a lot of people essentially get frustrated with when they do it on their own, or when they do it with someone that maybe isn't looking at the system as a whole, and then you're left kind of in the same spot.
Yeah, and this is why we see some reoccurrent affections. We've had a couple of clients that started with us that have SIBO reoccurring, H. pylori reoccurring. And I will tell you, even when I took my GI map into the conventional doctor and had a conversation with him, I just wanted to make sure that in case of, getting pregnant during this time of a healing protocol, I had a backup plan, because then I would need to be taking, antibiotics or something. He was very honest and open and was like, the healing or the treatment, the treatment for H. pylori is really, really harsh on the system. Like he's like, I'm not even a fan of giving it to people because it's, a double antibiotic, and it is just, very hard to eradicate. And so understanding too, that if you are working with somebody conventionally, like they may have given you the antibiotic, it may or may not, didn't work. Did you do a retest? Did you focus on rebuilding the gut? Did you change, the root cause? So for example, if it's H. pylori, it's low stomach acid. So I'm rebuilding my stomach acid at the same time that I'm taking natural supplements to get rid of the H. pylori and eradicate it so it doesn't come back, right? We want to be, even after we go through a healing protocol, then we want to be preventative. So just remember that is just because you go through a gut healing protocol does not mean that these things will not come back because we're exposed to things all the time, every single time. 101 times, or 1,001 times, I should say. So number 4 here, you might say, well, hey, I did the 21-day fix, or I had this meal plan. I did a 6-week challenge and that worked, really good. So I think I'm just going to go back to doing that because I still have all that stuff. I used to have clients at our gym that say I made a Liz binder, I'm sorry to you guys. Those that I coached back in 2014, I think you had benefit and value from it, but there's so much more now that I would have changed about what we were doing then, because meal plans don't teach you about long-term habit change, and therefore they don't help you address the underlying challenges or root causes that are getting in your way. And this is really, really impactful, because when I think about working with a client, whether or not I get to work with them for 6 weeks, 6 months, or a year, I want them to walk away understanding that they have the tools in their toolbox to continue on their own, and they can identify and spot these habits that they might be letting slip back in, and they know how to rebound from it so they can keep their results. It's all about sustainability. It's not about just getting results, it's sustaining it, right? And maintaining it. And so the question here too becomes is like, how much have you tried on your own? Like maybe you went gluten-free, or you went low FODMAP, or your friend said that like removing dairy was the best thing ever for her acne. Okay, that's great. Maybe it worked. But now what do you do? Do I never get to eat dairy again? Do I never get to have certain vegetables again? Like, how do you fix the issue to be able to bring those things back in? And we talk about gut healing protocols a lot. We talk about the gut a lot. We know that there are kind of the 4 R's, or sometimes even 5 in healing protocols. The removal of food is only step 1. Okay, removing the triggers is very important, absolutely. But it's also something that we aim to do as minimal as possible, because I don't want to remove nutrients. The more that you remove, the more nutrients you remove. So just remember that. And then it's also like, how do I make sure that I understand that this is something I just need to be mindful of in the future so that I don't get back to this place that I'm starting from.
Mm-hmm. And then I think number 5 here is different seasons of life call for different things. This is kind of piggybacking off of what Liz just went over. Like, I had this meal plan and it worked really well for me at that time, so I'm just going to go back to doing that. A lot of people are like, well, normally just cutting out carbs works for me and it's an easy, like, quick fix thing, and then I can just maintain there, or, doing the Prolon diet, whatever it is. Like, whatever diet protocol you have found works for you, right? Guess what? At certain phases of life, those things stop working because, one, your body probably has either adapted to them, or two, your body has changed because as females, we go through this really cool period of life where all of our hormones go away for the most part. It's called menopause. So during that time frame, a lot of people struggle because they try to do what they used to do and your body just does not respond. Or you really don't change anything at all and your body just starts not responding very well. And so you need to understand the different phases. And this might be a high stress time. This might be postpartum. This might be peri-menopause. It could be really a lot of different phases that things just need to be different. So, for example, hormonal fluctuations and shifts. Definitely something that you need to approach differently than when you're premenopausal and not dealing with those things. Postpartum, you are very nutrient depleted. You need to go through mostly a healing process, even if you don't feel that bad. Your body is depleted. I promise you, pregnancy and postpartum do a number on the body, and you have to basically give more support than you would normally give to get your body back up to a baseline. That's why so many people postpartum end up with hypothyroidism, postpartum depression, weight gain, all kinds of issues, anxiety. Like, it is not a coincidence. It is because your body is depleted at that point. And then also, I think like nutrition and exercise protocols sometimes need to change in certain aspects of life. If you are going through a grieving period, or, you're really, really stressed with work, like maybe your 4:30 a.m. wake ups for your boot camp hit classes aren't the best choice right now because it's literally just depleting your body and putting more stress on the body. Maybe we need to find a different alternative for that phase in your life. And so what we do with our clients in particular is we try to help them identify these phases, identify when does life look different and how can you adjust so that you're able to ebb and flow with your life. You're not just running into a brick wall over and over again until it feels like that brick wall falls over or you fall over. Like, you need to be able to understand those different phases. And a lot of people can't do that on their own.
Yeah. And I think it's really important sometimes for certain personality types to have somebody in their corner supporting them and just letting them know, like, hey, it's okay if we aren't perfect right now. Like, I've had a couple of clients who've seen amazing results and feel really good that I've shared with them, like, hey, this time that you are, going on vacation or you are taking one of your kids to college and moving them in, this is a time for us to practice some of the habits that we've been building on, and mindful eating and being in tune with what you need, and not just going ham and eating and drinking all the things while you're gone, being aware of, your choices, but not tracking right now, because I don't want you face down in my fitness pal. I want you present with your family. I want you present with your kids that you're not going to see until, Thanksgiving break. And they're like, oh my gosh, thank you so much for that kind of like permission. And I think there's just certain, personality types that need that support and, kind of push too, to say like, it's all right if you aren't checking all the boxes right now. And if you're just living in the moment a little bit more. And then the last one here that, we want to talk about, and I don't want to bash any particular, nutrition app or training app or anything like that. But at the end of the day, like, nutrition apps can never replace a nutrition coach or a practitioner, just the same way as like a workout or a fitness app will never, in my opinion, replace working with a personal trainer or a coach in person, especially in like what I loved was like a small group environment where you had, people that you were like competing with, and you had that camaraderie and you had that encouragement. And so just know that while we love tech, it's amazing. It allows us to communicate with people all over the world, just like you listening right now, and see our clients virtually as well. It's not the same as when you are actually working with somebody, when you're plugging your stuff into, let's say, tdeecalculator.net or MyFitnessPal or, whatever app that you choose to maybe track your food or do a fitness app like Peloton. Those apps are only doing what the algorithm has kind of told them to do, right? What this, you plug in like your age, your height, your weight, your goal, and it spits some numbers back at you, but it has no idea what you've been through, what the state of your health is. Are you genetically exposed to certain things like type 2 diabetes? Do you have high cholesterol? Did you just have a baby? Are you breastfeeding? And it didn't ask you about that. Like, that's kind of important postpartum, And so just remember that like your data points don't say anything about your symptoms and what is going on internally. And that's the benefit of somebody who's experienced to look at all of your symptoms and pair that with maybe lab testing or stool testing or hormonal testing or whatever it might be that you've had done, because tests are fantastic, but they're also only one snapshot, right? They're only a moment in time. And so we like to pair all of these things together, as well as your emotional state and what's realistic and what's doable for you. Because you may not even care unless you're somebody who's like, well, I just can't manipulate the data points, but your coach cares, your practitioner cares about some of those symptoms, that you've marked down on the sheet. We're watching those things because we're thinking, if this doesn't turn it around and this doesn't improve down the line, this can be adrenal fatigue. It can be burnouts, all these things. And so, just remember, again, I'm going to say this, like your data points don't say anything about your symptoms or what's going on internally with your health. And so, yeah, they're tools, but I don't think that they're ever going to replace working with an expert that can really have a holistic view of you and all kinds of things that are going on in your life.
Yeah. And I think I'll add one bonus thing here. They can help you see what's not normal that you may think is normal, especially experienced people. Like they will help you understand your chronic fatigue is not normal. You forgetting things that you talked about yesterday is not normal. Like you not sleeping through the night is not normal. There's so many things that people sadly accept as normal because they have been so common for them. And so because, it might not be a huge pain point yet for you that you get bloated every time you eat any type of sugar, or, you cannot go to the bathroom when you travel, or you only poop, every few days. Like, though those are common things, they are not normal things, and you can feel better than that. And so I think a lot of people sadly just accept things as normal. And a coach, an expert, a practitioner can help you identify those things and then give you hope that things can get better, and help you figure out the way to get there. So even though it is an investment, even though it is something that you may not feel like you quote unquote need, because right, it's food, you eat food anyways. You should be able to understand how to eat food by yourself and how to exercise by yourself. Think about the time that you're losing, the frustration that you're experiencing, and the things that you are struggling with that you could potentially not be having to deal with if you just made that investment for a period of time.